Hello, my name is Casey Williams, Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of Spring Hill, Tennessee, and welcome to Brilliant Strokes. Brilliant Strokes is an intergenerational art program provided by the Arts Build Communities Grant through the Tennessee Arts Commission. And if you would like to be a part of this program, you can register online through the city website, www.springhilltn.org, or through the Parks and Recreation's Facebook page. All of our instructors are local artists, and we are so grateful to them for donating their time and their talents to be part of this unique program. Have fun!
Hi there, welcome back to our 5th session. Today we're going to do probably the most difficult of the sessions, and it's not difficult in that it requires a lot of skill. There's just a little more layering and steps. So we're working towards something that's going to look like this. We're going to use some bubble wrap, some shelf liner, the lid to a shampoo bottle or anything you've got laying around. And then for this edging, we're going to introduce a new technique just with a paper towel and a spray bottle. So last week at the end of the session, I told you to prep your surface, and you were going to prep it to look something like this. If you didn't get to this step, I'm going to show you briefly on this blank one, and then I'll jump to this one after you get the idea. So all you need for this step is your Mod Podge and some of the scrap papers, and we're going to use the 8x10 canvas. This is just a small sample piece. So all you do with the Mod Podge, as we've done every other time, is to put some on your surface that you're adhering to, and then also some on the back side of your paper scrap. And then add that, press it down, and then again over the top. So just repeat that process. Use a variety of papers, a variety of sizes, and that will give a lot more interest to your background. And a lot of this is going to be hidden. You don't have to cover the entire surface. You do want to overlap some of the papers. Already got some down here, so I'm just going to add a little bit more to the back of the paper. And if there's writing on the paper, it doesn't have to be all facing the same way. You're not going to be able to read it. It's just providing interest and an additional layer. So what you want to do is to continue to use your papers, your Mod Podge, and cover the majority of the background. And then make sure that that is good and dry. You can use a hair dryer to speed it up, or just give it overnight and it'll be ready to go. So I'll clean off my brush. The colors that we're going to use today are carbon black. I've got some yellow ochre, burnt umber, white, burnt sienna, and phthalo. You're not tied to these colors, that's just the palette I'm using today. You're welcome to switch it up. If you're not a fan of phthalo, pull out orange or red, something that's going to contrast with these neutrals. So we're going to work at our end design is going to be a landscape. So until we get towards the end, until you are doing this base, you don't have to decide which side is up at this point. We're just going to add another layer. So the first part we're going to do, we're going to start with the inside and work our way out. So basically it's going to have a little glow in the middle and then get darker towards the edges. I'm just going to use a little watered down white and just kind of put a veil. You can also use the gesso on this step. You don't have to use white. You can use the gesso or white. You just want it to be thin. You want to be able to see through it, but you don't have to be able to identify what's underneath. And then I'm going to take a little of the yellow ochre and mix with that as I work my way to the outer edges. And then you'll be able to see some of the texture from your layered papers coming through, as well as adding color. just using a little water to blend in the edges so you don't have a definition of where the colors are changing. And then you want to let that dry. Okay, now that that's dried, you're going to take the burnt umber, and again add a little bit of water to your brush, but not as much as before. And this time you're going to go around the outer edges. Had a little too much water on that one. You're going to go around the outer edges. I think I want to darken that up just a hair, so I'm going to just add just a little black to the very, very edge. Now what you want to do is take a spray bottle, if you have one, and you're going to just spray on that wet paint and let it sit for a moment. And then you're going to take a paper towel, press on top, not rub, just gently press, and as you pull away, it will pull away just some of the paint where the droplets are and provide a unique textured look. And do that all around. And now I'm going to rinse off my brush and then soften those edges. And the way I'm doing that is mixing a little white with the yellow ochre. And just kind of scrubbing it in around where those two, the dark and the light, meet. And then again, I'm going to spray and give it a second. Clean my brush while I have the opportunity. And then once again, take your paper towel. And press. Still gonna just fuzzy that up a little bit. Some of the areas are still just a little more, less fuzzy than I would like, so I'm just always resort to my fingers at some point. So now that we've got that, the next layer, I'm gonna need some more white paint. I think I'm gonna darken the center just a little bit more in spots. I think it kind of looks like a fog in the middle at this point, so I'm just gonna kind of add some more dimension here and there. Okay. So I'm gonna need a little bit more white paint. And what I'm gonna do this time is take the white paint, take a bottle cap of some sort. It could be off a shampoo bottle, it could be off your bottle of Mod Podge or your gesso bottle. And for this, you just kind of dab around the edges. And you're gonna make some circles with this. Things you wanna kind of remember, you want them staggered, you want an odd number, and you want some to go off of your canvas. You don't want everything just stuck in the center. So start by putting, and you don't have to dip every time. You want to add variation. You want them some to be a little more defined than others. And in your composition, these can be balloons, they can be flowers, they can be planets. Use your imagination. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more. Okay. So you want to let those dry. The next step, we're going to add a little more dimension to these. So how we do that is to shade them on the inside. You're going to use some of the black, some of the burnt umber, and you want to shade them to where the dark is all on the same side so that your light is coming from the same, source of light is coming from the same place. So this, you're gonna have to get dirty and use your fingers. There's just no other way around it. So I put a little paint in, and I like to dip my finger in the water, and then you're just gonna kind of mush it around. And you'll vary them. Some will be darker on the inside than the others. Also, if you have some watercolor pencils or a charcoal pencil, pastels, you can also use those for this step. The more mixed media materials that you can bring into the equation, it's going to add more interest. And don't worry about preserving the white lines at this point. We can always come back in with the brush and reestablish them if we need to. And then these that are in the darker areas, I'm going to come back and lighten up their center a little bit so you can still see the contrast. And again, you can add more texture by how the shape of your paper towel is. You can wad it up a little bit, and then when you dab it, it will make an imprint similar to what we did on the outer edges. So I established that darker edge. Now I'm going to come back in with the yellow ochre. fingers are good because they're much easier to clean than the brush too. And you just kind of want to keep going back and forth with the different colors. You don't want them to all be identical, but at the same time, you want them to have a consistent look to them. And again, you have lots of colors in the kit that you were given, so if neutral's not your jam, pull out some colors. And we're also not using a reference photo. We're not, we're creating more of an abstract piece here. So this can be anything you want it to be. It doesn't have to look like anything. I'm just continuing to softly blend these edges, alternating the colors. All right, so now let that dry a little bit. So now you want to kind of establish your ground line. So I'm going to do that with the mixture of the black and the burnt umber. And this doesn't have to be straight. This is when you have to decide what's up and what's down. So I'm gonna have it go this way. I'm just taking a flat brush. You can also use the round brush. And just kind of, again, doesn't have to be straight. Just trying to give it some weight. Then from here, you're going to take your bubble wrap, and you can cut off a little piece or just use a little one end. Again, I'm using the black. Make sure you've got the bubble side up, not the smooth side. And just dry brush across the edges. And I'm trying to do a piece that is equal to what this height is. And then just press gently. That's my paint. This edge again. And the other side. And it doesn't have to line up perfectly. I'm just kind of seeing where that circle goes into the lower level, and I'm just pushing around that. So we're gonna leave that for now. The next layer is with the shelf liner, and I'm gonna add a pop of color with this one. I'm going to use the Phthalo. And again, the same process, using the back side of the shelf liner. And this one I'm just going to put in random spots. Add a little white to that, just to brighten it up a little bit.
That's better.
I'm just going to put a little more white so that they're not all the same bright blue. And if I add white over the top, it will push some of them back so it doesn't look like this layer is completely on top of the other layer. Anytime you want something to kind of recede into the background, you can lighten its color. Clean our brush once again. So what I think I want to do is add some fuzziness to this horizon line. So what I like to do with that, let me grab another paper towel because I want to completely destroy my cloth underneath. But again, I'm going to add some watered down paint, back establishing that line. And then I'm going to take my spray bottle, we did this on one of the other ones, and spray over that wet paint and let it run down a little bit. And just let that drip. I think I'm going to do the same thing with some of the phthalo. This one, I'm just going to put it in spots. I'm not going to redraw that whole line. And spray. Okay, another thing I like to do on a lot of mine are drips and splatters. So we just did the drips, now we gotta do some splatters. Splatters you can do with the round brush or with the flat brush. The secret is your paint needs to be quite fluid. And I always like to do them in either white or black. Not always. A lot of the time I like to do white or black. And again, you just load up your brush and then tap it over your finger. And give it a little more water. Water's a little dirty. And this brush may be a little thin. Let me try a bigger, thicker round brush would work better. So let me clean this one out. I'm gonna use some of my water out of my spray bottle because my washer cup water is pretty dirty at this point. There we go. And then next, close to the last, I'm gonna kind of reestablish some of those circles where I lost them down here, but I need to let it dry before I add another layer to it. So let me take a minute and put the hair dryer to this and I'll be right back. Okay, so now it's dry. So I'm going to ground my circles, and you can do that just with black paint and your round brush. But just to show you, this is a water soluble for watercolor pencil, and I'm going to use that just to show you what they can do. And you can grab one at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, if you feel like you'd like to use one. So just kind of gonna make a little stem mark if they're flowers, or strings if they're balloons. And then make them fairly straight. And again, I'm using this as what I'm calling a horizon, so that's where they're headed. So after you draw your line with the water-soluble pencil, then you just take your finger, which was probably what I would normally do, or just a wet brush, and you just activate the charcoal. And now we're going to reestablish any of the circles that have faded. So again, just in the white paint, you can again do this with the brush if you like, or just grab your cap again. Because they're not perfect circles, it doesn't matter if you don't hit it in exactly the same place as the first time. Now what I did on mine was to get an old-fashioned label maker, the kind where you dial it around and the tape comes through and then you peel and stick. And I just created Find Your Way as a saying and put it on mine. I don't have that with me today, but you can look in any magazine or a dictionary, cut out words that make a saying that you like, or just random words that have meaning to you. Or if you still have any of the butterflies left from your butterfly page, then you could add those to your picture as well to finish it off. Again, just like all of the things that we've done in this class, it's best after, since we're using mixed media, I like to, after they dry for a day or two, then get a workable fixative, and it's just a spray that you can get at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, any of the normal crafty places. It's a clear, I like to get a matte finish, And it's just a spray, you spray a couple of coats, and that'll keep anything, one, from fading, or anything that is not, this is textured, raised, or pressed against your panel, and that'll also seal that so that dust and stuff doesn't get in your crevices. But hope you've enjoyed this class. There's a whole plethora of tools that you can use in mixed media. Anything that you found objects work the best, because just like the shampoo bottle cap that we've had, all kinds of things work and make some surprising results. So just give things a try, see what it happens, and I hope you've enjoyed the class. Thanks.
So, if you like what you've seen and you want to take part in Brilliant Strokes, don't forget, go online to our Facebook page, that's Spring Hill TN Parks and Recreation, or to the Spring Hill City website and register. Registration opens February 18th, and the first 8 people to register for each class will get a free goodie bag. Can't wait to get creative and have fun.